Thanks everyone for joining this wonderful session today. Myself Ravi Daparthi, a CTO and co-founder of Oorwin Labs. I've been a special needs child from last 40 years. I'm not here to showcase that as as one of my qualifications at this point of time, but it's been a really fun-filled, challenging journey that I had from last 40 years. I hail from a place where we don't even have a bus stop and a proper school at that point of time. And, it was a very orthodox family, except my father, my father is a very progressive guy where he wanted me to study at that point of time. I'm talking about a special needs child 40 years back. And there were a lot of speculations that were happening in the initial days, whether, I should be sent to school or should be kept at home. And my father used to say that, I joined my LKG at the age of 7, while all the other kids were getting a small boxes. I was carrying a whole carriage at that age, right? So that is all it started. And the school journey was a challenge again, because I was not using clutches. I was using my 4 legs, bent down with both my hands and legs to walk. So my dad arranged a rickshawala, who used to take me from home to school, and he used to carry me from, rickshaw to the classroom bench, and he used to keep me there. And I have to stay on that bench from morning 8 o'clock to evening 5 o'clock until, I see my rickshawala again to get me back to the rickshaw. That is how I completed my schooling. I was one of the best students in the class. I completed my 10th with the flying colors. And again, there were a lot of discussions that were happening after completion of my 10th, where my parents and everyone don't want me to, get into any colleges, not because they don't want me to study, but they were more worried that, I would suffer, staying outside without the support of anyone. But I was always an adamant kid. I was always, very clear in terms of what I wanted to do. And I didn't have food for 3 to 4 days, saying that I want to go to the college. Then my dad joined me in 10 plus 1 and 2, where I did pretty good in terms of academics, and I joined my engineering in electronics and communications engineering when I did very good rank in MSET those days. And engineering was a very challenging period for me. On the day of my joining, I lost my father. He was my biggest support financially, emotionally, and physically. And I started looking at a completely different world the moment I lost him. There were a lot of burdens in terms of the commitments that we have, the financial burdens that we have, all of that. On the first day of engineering, I started looking at the real world, in terms of how difficult it would be if you're not committed, if you're not planned properly, if you're not having that resilience in terms of, understanding what you wanted to achieve. So it was a pretty big and reputed engineering college, and I was given my class in the 4th floor. And imagine we have our, most of the labs are in the 1st floor or in the ground floor. Every day I need to climb 4 stairs at least 3 to 4 times for the rest of my engineering days, right? So it was painful in the initial days. It was really exhaustive exercise every day to do all that stuff. But as I said, I was always been an adamant kid. I was very clear in terms of what I wanted to achieve, and all of these, I don't say hurdles, but all of these challenges are in fact opportunities for me to prove that, what I am, whether I can able to do it or not. So I completed my BTech with the flying colors. I was one of the rankers at the university level, but I always wanted to be in academics. I was pretty good in academics. I wanted to be in academics. I got pretty good numbers in terms of getting admission in some of the premier institutes at that point of time, but still I have my financial burden at that point of time where I couldn't able to afford. Then I realized, okay, this is not what I can achieve at this point of time. There is no point in sweating. And I was literally struggling. I was literally struggling financially and other aspects as well. I have my commitments that I need to take care of behind, because I don't have father. I have a brother that needs to support his education and all of that. Then I landed in Hyderabad with lot of dreams, lot of aspirations, when I landed, I hardly have 1500 in my pocket. That is what the money that I landed with to attend one of the interviews. I took an auto and went to the interview venue, and I came back, and it was a far off, and out of 1500, I'm done with almost 1200 rupees, and I'm left with 300 rupees. Okay, that was the situation at that point of time. Then I was realizing, what is next? What is tomorrow? Right? If I have to attend another interview tomorrow, I need to take an auto, and I don't have anything in my pocket other than that 200 or 300, whatever that we have. But I was advised, my elder brother, do you really think that you can afford an auto? Considering the situation that you are in. If I were in a very bad mood, I would have taken in a completely different sense. Why the hell that this guy is saying this? If not auto, what is that I'm supposed to take? I'm a four-legged guy. What is the expectation? No, my thought process really didn't go in that direction. Then I started realizing, yes, this is what is the reality of life. This is what it is, right? So self-reliability is something that I take very, very seriously. That is one thing that I adopted from the initial days of my life. It is not about job, it is not about money, it is not about anything else. It is all about my self-reliability. Transportation is the biggest hurdle for someone who is, walking with four legs, right? So then I came to know that Hyderabad municipality provides a free transportation for handicapped. So then I went to their office, I took a pass. I don't even know how to, get onto a city bus, how to get down a city bus. These are all the challenges that I was looking at that point of time. It was all fun rather than any difficulty as such, right? So what I did, I still feel it is funny how I actually overcome all of that. At that point of time, I thought, okay, it's not the job, it's not the interviews, it is not anything else, but the biggest milestone that I need to cross is how to get the transportation independence in my life. That was the step that I need to take. So I took a small box. I had my backpack. Morning 5 o'clock I used to start, go to bus stop, get onto the bus which comes first, and wherever you feel like getting down, I used to get on the bus. It was not easy getting on the city buses and getting down the city buses in the traffic with a lot of people around. There are a lot of ambiguity, where it would stop, where it would start, when it would stop, when it would start, and all of that. So sometimes I used to put my clutches on the bus, and I used to get on, and the bus used to start. My clutches used to be on the middle of the road. Okay, probably this way of doing things are not working. So next time I used to put my sticks on in the bus, and I used to stand down to get on the bus, and bus used to go. I used to be in middle of the road. Someone used to come and pick me up, kind of stuff. So what I learned out of it is not ashamed of doing something which you feel comfortable and which is the need of the hour, right? Not that what people would think if you are in middle of the road, or someone would look at you with a very pity mindset, kind of stuff. So I crossed that milestone with the flying colors. I never had. I almost roamed the entire Hyderabad in a city bus itself. Even at this point of time, if I want to travel, I would love to do that in any city, not only in just Hyderabad. Then I started my professional journey in Pune. In fact, from Maharashtra. Pune is the place where I started my career. I always wanted to to be an entrepreneur. Even though I started working in jobs, that entrepreneurship was always there in my mindset. I joined in a software company in Pune, but I couldn't able to survive for long here, because of many obvious reasons. Then within 3 months time, I had to move back to Bangalore, and there I started working in a startup company which is having around hardly 100 employees at that point of time. For 6 months, believe me, for 6 to 7 months, There was no Saturday, no Sunday, no holiday, nothing. I attended the office all 6 months with absolute passion, and we built some really beautiful, products at that point of time where we were awarded the best, right? Still, there was some unsatisfactory feel that was, clubbing on top of my head, that this is not, where, I should be standing. So then I started working. I moved out to another new company where it was one of the biggest multinational companies in the world. And I started working there slowly. Then I reconnected with one of my mentors, my well-wisher, everything, Mr. Swami. So we had a small, he started a small company at that point of time in Bangalore. The whole idea is to enable the rural unprivileged people. When I say unprivileged, not on financial grounds or not on physical grounds, but more on an opportunity ground, right? They have a lot of passion, fire in belly, but they don't know how to, where to and when to, pick up those opportunities. Then I joined him, and we worked really hard in terms of training a lot of people from rural villages, and we enabled them getting placed in a lot of multinational companies at that point of time. And then I got into Indian Institute of Sciences, and I was doing the academics, I was working, there are a lot of things that were happening. And then that entrepreneurship is still there, even though if we are struggling financially and we are just settling down at that point of time, I was very clear in terms of what I wanted to achieve, and in fact looking for an opportunity. And suddenly I got a call from my mentor again that, why don't you come to Hyderabad, and we need to talk. So we had a very interesting talk. I came from Bangalore to Hyderabad, and we met in a hotel, and we were discussing, and it was a startup with the first table and chair. We don't even know what would be the future of the company, whether I would get the salary next month, what would be the road path for next 1 year or a couple of years, nothing. So we had a very fruitful discussion, and I went to the hotel and immediately resigned to my company. I didn't even inform my mom or no one else. So that's the level of clarity that I had at that point of time in terms of what I wanted to achieve. And one of the biggest milestone that I would say in my life is my marriage, right? So I was always very proud, or whatever it is, that I always look at the positive things in every aspect. But after meeting my fiancée or my wife, it was really a proud moment. I ashamed of myself that people can be so positive than this lady, and she was one of the most successful factors behind my every step that I took in my life, along with my brother and my mentors. Then the biggest step came from my mentor again, saying that, after doing all the startups, why don't you come to US? Okay, so from a small village without having any school to US is another big step forward. And all the formalities were completed, and I got a call. This is really an interesting discussion that we had that I should mention out here. So he called me, on a night, and the place where I need to land in US is one of the coldest places in US, where you see the snow for 6 months, and you don't find any transportation, nothing, right? So he told, like, you wanted to come to US, but the place where you would be staying, you don't find any city buses, you don't find any public transportation. And yeah, I never drove anything at that point, not even two-wheeler, not even four-wheelers and all of that. So we were having a very healthy discussion at that point of time, while he was challenging and trying to understand what my mindset was. I'm pretty sure about it. So then we had a very healthy discussion at that point. I told them, right, I might face challenge for a day, I might face challenge for a week, I might face challenge for a month, or I might face challenge for an year, right? What next? I can be successful. How are people living out there, with a similar kind of physical structure and all of that? Then I landed in US, and we worked really, hard. I've been in startups from last 14 years. I'm very proud to say that except toilet cleaning, I have pretty much done everything. Right from, L3 support kind of roles to the head of the company. Then when I landed in US, it was a wonderful journey in the startups that we worked with. We were working almost 18 to 20 hours every day on an average, and we made it one of the most successful startups in US. Lucky or unlucky, it didn't work out the way that we anticipated. No regrets at all. At that point of time, then there is one more challenge that was hit at my side. My mom was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer at that point of time. There was lot of things that were happening. But when it comes to the thought, whether it is your profession or your mom, because I was the eldest son, and my brother is also in US, and she was the only one residing in India. So there was not even 1 second that I thought, whether I should be in India or in US. We packed up and we moved back to India, and I had to close that whole US chapter there and move back to India. So as I said, I was always clear in terms of what is right in terms of my priorities. At that point of time, my responsibilities are of highest priority over my career. And when I landed, I was informed that she can hardly survive for 4 to 5 months time, but she survived for 4.5 years very happily, and I'm pretty sure that our movement from US has made that possible. At this point of time, if I look back, I don't have any regrets, but she had one of the most happiest days ever in her life. And then and there were a lot of financial obligations for that movement from US to India in a short period of time. If it were someone else, they would have settled down in some very high paying jobs, but I never wanted to get into the high paying jobs again. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and we started new ventures at that point of time with my partner, my well-wisher, and my mentor, Swami Garu. And within 4 years' time, now I stand as a co-founder of 3 companies. Oorwin Labs is a product company with around close to 100 employees, and Maxotech Solutions, which is into consulting services, and Signitives is into professional services. And giving back to the society has always been in our thoughts. As I said, we started our professional entrepreneurial engagement empowering the rural kids. So Signitives, we started engagement in our own villages, where we were actually empowering local kids and putting them in professional services, and we have been doing pretty good. So if you look at it, so there are multiple things throughout this journey. The resilience in terms of having a thought of being an entrepreneur. Resilience is extremely important, and there are 5 factors that I have always considered that we need to keep in mind. One is self-reliance. Whenever you are doing anything, you need to understand what are all your bottlenecks and how you can overcome those bottlenecks. Instead of looking those bottlenecks as your hurdles, if you look them as one of the challenges that you need to overcome, it would be a beautiful journey. The next one is priorities. Priorities are extremely important at any point of your journey, whether it is a professional journey or personal journey. If you don't understand your priorities, your next step would always be an ambiguity, right? So that is one thing. Second one is the focus and hard work. As I said, our average working time even till today is a minimum 14 hours. It doesn't mean that someone is forcing us to work for 14 hours, but once you have that passion of doing it, the time really doesn't matter. And the fourth one is the people that you are with. That is extremely, extremely important. I attribute almost 99% of my success with the people that I worked with, whether it is my wife, whether it is my my mentor, or the team who is with me from last 10 years, and also my brother who actually supported when I really needed most. And you are with people with the right mindset. The entrepreneur journey is always a roller coaster ride. Some day you feel very high, some day you would be on rock bottom. But you need to have someone who can actually get you up. Even though if you are the strongest of strong guys, you need to have the support of the people, your family support, your friends, your support from the friends, from your team, from your mentors. luckily I have, some of the best team, some of the, best mentors and the best partner in life. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Love to be here. Thank you very much, guys.